When it comes to applying for grants, the SAFER grant, again I'll say this, I'll get it wrong, Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. It's a very good program. It used to be a program that started off with a federal grant and then cities match, and over time the city took on those costs. Currently, there is no match, and the time frame has gotten a little shorter. It's 2 year. It's unlimited on salaries. There's no requirement to maintain the positions. The problem, and one of the speakers tonight alluded to it, and I talked about it a little bit at length this morning, is if you get the grant and you add on the people, or you stave off the layoff, or however you want to apply that money, that process wouldn't be approved and acted on until this fall. That's 2 years in which, if the state comes back and lowers our revenues, our hands are tied. At that time, if the revenues are cut, one or two or both of the other arms of public safety in this city, the police department and the public works department, who are also going through the same process we are, would be the places you'd go to, because you couldn't touch us, either for the staffing, the SAFER staffed positions or the non-SAFER positions. I do know that there are waivers available on the SAFER grant. I can't articulate the details of those. I did talk to Diane Breedlove, who is a SAFER grant staff specialist with FEMA. She didn't sound overly optimistic. I spoke with the International Association of Firefighters 2nd District Vice President Mark Woolbright, the Iowa Professional Firefighters President Rick Schofield, members of Local 4 about the SAFER grant. We have differing opinions about the applicability of the grant. Everybody's doing their best, because everybody wants to staff the fire department the best they can. But that risk on the 2 years in the state revenues, that's something you really have to consider. And that's why I did not recommend applying for that grant.
What's the time frame to make that application, Chief?
I think that application is actually due today. And that's why we distributed information on it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. When did they release the grant app?
Actually, I'd have to ask somebody else in the room. I think it's been out 30 days. Approximately 30 days.
Chief, on the SAFER grant, have you looked into past years to see how they handled waiver requests?
No, I have not. Previously, on the fire side, the match has always kept us from really even looking at that at all.
Okay, but as you alluded to, they changed that for this year. Actually, this is a moot point. The grant had to be in by last Friday, but under Appendix 2 that was issued in January of this year, grantee responsibilities number 3 does elaborate that if you hire SAFER employees, you've got to maintain those and the number that you give when you apply for the grant, unless you apply for a waiver. And I really wish you'd applied for this grant with the request for the waiver at the same time, because I have a feeling that they wouldn't put this in there if they're not issuing the waivers. And I think we should have taken advantage.
Our service to the city is personnel based. In other words, it's the boots on the ground that will bandage the broken arm, extricate someone from an accident, and save someone's home from fire, and help your greatest asset, firefighters, to go home safe in the morning. Local 4 wanted to give our perspective to the council's request for a follow-up report to the cuts. Worth noting, President Obama has released millions of dollars for awards under the SAFER grant, which is the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response grant program. We missed another window in July for the federal SAFER grants, where, if awarded, could have given some release to the city and the department and put a medic unit or more back in service to protect the citizenry and our #1 asset, firefighters.
Mayor, I've got another comment. We're currently 9 firemen under the authorized strength, and then my understanding is we've got numerous firemen that are off due to injuries. Several of them may not be coming back, and in the next few years we're going to have a number of retirements. If we receive this grant, all it's going to do is replace those using federal funds to do it for the first few years, so I don't anticipate there'd be a funding issue at the end of 2 or 3 years.
And that's why I did not recommend applying for that grant.